You know that sleeping more, moving your body more, getting healthy food, drinking your water, and taking time to de-stress is important. So why is it that you can't follow through? If this sounds familiar, then you are in the right spot for today's video. Hi, if you're new to this channel, my name is Jessica. I'm a functional nutritionist and wellness expert, and I love helping women, especially over 40, understand their bodies at a physiological level, get to the root of stubborn symptoms, no more band-aids, no more quick fixes, and finally feel like themselves again so that they can live with more energy, clarity, and confidence. And one way to do this is by paying attention to the habits that we are keeping. And for many out there, I know that conceptually, intellectually, we understand the things that we should be doing, but oftentimes we seem to not be able to actually do it. And this can be very frustrating, I know, for a lot of women. They know what they should be doing, but for some reason, things life will say gets in the way. And I would say for a lot of my clients, this is very true too. Intellectually, we can understand what our bodies are saying. Intellectually, we can understand how the body works. We can know the concepts. We can understand a little bit more about why we should be doing something. But when it comes to the rubber meeting the road, we seem to not be able to stay consistent with our goals, if you will. And that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is how do we create lasting habits that are supportive of our goals without needing willpower. This is usually the approach a lot of us take is we get excited about some complex program or 30-day or 75-day challenge and it's exciting. It sounds like, yes, that's exactly what I need. And then once you start the program, once you start the habit or start whatever morning routine you decide or evening routine you decide you're going to do, maybe for the first few days it feels really great and fun, but by like day 3 or 4, something happens. Life happens, your schedule gets thrown off, and then all of a sudden you're no longer following through. And yet again, you have failed, right? Which every time we do fail, unfortunately, that gets ingrained in the subconscious, and it's even harder to try again in the future because we tell ourselves, "Oh, that didn't work for me last time," right? And so this is a good time to start to zoom out and understand why, if you're wanting to create a new habit, why it's not working for you. And so I'm going to give you guys some really helpful strategies today to think about, to reflect on, and see if you can start implementing them in your life while you're trying to improve your health and create more supportive habits in your life or get rid of some habits that maybe are harming your ability to reach your goals. So, first and foremost, and I have some notes here to keep me on track, so we'll be looking down. First and foremost, it's good to identify what is your goal. And I'm going to give some examples today, but for you listening and watching this, what is your goal? Let's say your goal is I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay. Or maybe it's I want to sleep better, or I want to, I don't know. I want to have more energy, right? But for many women out there, I think something that resonates is I want to lose weight. I want to feel better in my clothes. I want to look better in a bikini. Summer's around the corner, right? So a lot of us, I think, are starting to think about like our bodies and how we feel, especially as less clothes are on our bodies, right? We can no longer hide under our big baggy sweatshirts and our tight leggings. So maybe it's I want to lose 20 pounds. So a lot of us take these really big, hairy goals, 20 pounds, 10 pounds, 5 pounds, whatever it is. And it can feel a little constrictive because conceptually, as human beings, we're actually very simple-minded people. There's complexity in how our bodies work, but really how we work best is with simple tasks, simple goals, because we can see the end a lot easier. If your goal is to lose like 20 pounds, that could feel like, oh my God, how am I going to get there? Especially if you've been on a weight loss journey for a very long time, it may feel like you're never going to get there, right? So if your goal is something like, I want to lose 20 pounds, that's fantastic, right? It's important for every woman to feel good in their body. So I will absolutely never judge a woman by wanting to change the way her body looks. With that said, a goal of I want to lose 20 pounds is a great high level goal. But what I want you guys to start thinking about are micro goals. So if your goal is I want to lose 20 pounds, then I want you to start reflecting about what habits, what behaviors are needed in order to lose 20 pounds, right? And really what we're thinking about is I want to live a healthier lifestyle for the most part. Weight is a symptom. It's not really like a state of being. It's just a symptom of a deeper dysfunction. Sometimes it's a symptom of as easy as too many calories in, not enough energy expenditure out. But for women over 40, it's usually never that simple. It's not a simple equation. It's usually related to hormone health, insulin issues. It's usually related to the estrogen progesterone ratio and having more estrogen to progesterone. It's usually related to higher levels of cortisol or too low levels of cortisol. So it's usually related to a hormone versus just I'm eating too much food and I'm expending not enough. I would say for many women, especially over 40, they're not eating enough food. So it's not necessarily a calories in versus calories out. In my practice with women, I help you break down the roadblocks at a physiological level that are blocking you from releasing excess unhealthy weight. But for the purpose of this video, to not get too far into the weeds, let's talk about that as a goal. So weight loss, 20 pounds. What are the behaviors and habits that you will need that you want to do? This is a very subtle thing. We want to make sure we want to do it because if you don't want to do it, you're not going to stick with it. The energy of your goals have to align with what feels good for you too. This is big because if you are being told you have to lift weights, you have to eat a certain way, and if some of these have tos don't align with what you want to do, there's going to be some cognitive dissonance there, meaning how you're going to do, like what you're going to do actually versus how you want to be are not in alignment, then it's going to feel like you're pushing a damn boulder up a hill, right? So we want to think about the behaviors and the habits that you want to do that will be supportive of creating a healthier lifestyle for your body to be able to release the extra weight, right? Excuse me. So, as an example, maybe one of your goals is I want to move my body more. You know that exercise is maybe a weak spot for you. And if it's not exercise and that doesn't resonate with you, pick something else. Maybe it's sleep. Maybe it's more water. Maybe it's more fiber. Maybe it's more protein, right? Like you see that these are small goals. These aren't like, I want to eat 130 grams of fiber. I want to go to the gym 3 times a week. Those are all great goals, but we want to focus on one specific outcome at a time so that you and your brain can get on the same page of what is it going to take to make that a consistent habit or behavior. So let's say movement. Let's say that you don't love, well, in his prehistorically, you haven't been able to find your groove with exercise. Okay, this is very, very popular, very common, especially women over 40 when they're running all over the place and have no time to exercise, right? First of all, we want to throw out the idea of what everyone else thinks exercise is, okay? Or whatever else everyone's telling you to do. And if you open up social media today, everyone's telling women over 40 you have to lift weights. Now, there is some truth in pushing around some resistance because at a physiological level, right? We want to make sure we have healthy bones. We want to make sure that we have a good amount of muscle mass on the body because again, it's neuroprotective of the body for many other reasons besides just aesthetically, it looks good. So there is some truth in some of this, but again, we have to crawl before we sprint. Down the road, in order, like maybe lifting weights for you sounds like awful right now, and you're never going to do it, right? If you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it. So let's work into how we get you with the goal of wanting to move your body more into something that A, you want to do, and B, it's sustainable. So let's keep going here. So let's say your goal is I want to lose 20 pounds. And one of the habits or behaviors that you've identified in order to do that is you want to move your body more. You need to find a way to make exercise and movement consistent in your weekly, daily life. And it's something you actually want to do. Okay. You want to engage in. And that is that very subtlety there. Okay. So let's say that you have decided, like walking. Most people love to walk, right? You can put in a podcast, you can listen to music, you can do other things to take your mind off it if you just don't like love moving your body. But I don't know anybody that just doesn't love moving their body. It's just more that they don't want to move their body the way society is telling them to, and that in itself feels restrictive. But walking is so amazing, especially as we get into summer months and you're outside more, especially my East Coast people, right? You're able to go outside. Well, I guess that's a lie, middle of July for my total Easters. But you see my point. You can get outside more. Walking outside has so many benefits beyond just the walking part. So let's say moving more, and we're going to use walking as an example, right? So it's again, most people say, well, I just want to make sure I go on a walk every day. Still good. It's specific, but it's not specific enough. We want to get real freaking specific here. So when I say that, I mean, my goal is to walk Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for 30 minutes before lunch. Like, do you see how specific that is? Number one, it gives you an idea and it gives your brain an idea of how doable is this. If you are driving from the office to work and it takes you an hour to get there and you don't get in until 10 and lunch is at 12, it might not make sense for you to take a half an hour walk between when you get to the office and when lunch is, right? Unless, again, you have a very flexible schedule. So you want to make sure this works for you in your schedule, but this is just an example. So let's say you want to move 30 minutes, 3 days a week. You want to take this walk, and Monday, Wednesday, and Friday feels like I could do that, right? No matter what your setup is. And you want to do it before lunch or before dinner. Pick a time. That's the thing. So you want to say what I'm going to do, walking. How long am I going to do it? 30 minutes. When am I going to do it? Monday, Wednesday, Friday, before lunch. Okay. So you like have this goal. You have this behavior and habit in mind now. Now, this is the critical piece. I would say probably the most critical out of every part of this conversation. And it's you want to remove the obstacles or the roadblocks to success. So this, I would say, most people can get to at least this before we get to this last point. A lot of us are like, I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to buy a pretty new water bottle. Like this is something I tell a lot of my clients to do. If you're not drinking enough water, there's a few ways to think about this, right? It's A, do you even have something in front of you? B, do you have to open it, or are you a straw drinker? I'm a straw. If I have a straw, I will drink more water. It's more accessible to me, right? So you got to kind of know thyself, but you want to think about what's going to get in your way of making this habit stick. So maybe it's, maybe if you are going to go for a walk for 30 minutes before lunch and you notice that never happens because people schedule a meeting at 11:30 on your calendar, block your calendar. That is a roadblock to success. Go on your calendar and block out 30 minutes at 11:30 before lunch or whenever you have lunch, right? That could be a roadblock. The other roadblock might be if maybe you have to go to the office for work. And you get to the office and you're like, oh shit, I forgot my shoes. Make sure you pack your shoes or you pack your whatever you're going to wear. If you're going to wear your work clothes and just, swap into some tennies, those are in the car. They're there. Whether they're in your office or they're in their car, you buy a second pair and you put them at your desk, whatever it is, that is a roadblock to success, right? So you want to think through in the past, and this is where reflection is good without judgment. In the past, I wanted to do this, but I wasn't able to do it. Why? What happened? I didn't have my shoes, right? Someone scheduled a meeting. There's other things that come up. It started to rain. Bring an umbrella, like if you want to be hardcore, or, walk the stairs in your building instead. Again, it's about being flexible, but also about creating the environment for success. And so this seems really tedious. All of this just to be able to walk 3 times a week for 30 minutes. It seems tedious, but here's the thing. Doing this level of depth when you are creating a new habit, because creating new habits and sticking to them, creating new habits are freaking easy. Sticking to them are very, very tricky. Okay. Habit change is extremely challenging if you don't have a strategy and you haven't thought it through, right? So it feels tedious, but think about it. It's so clear now. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, You're going to walk 30 minutes before lunch. You're going to put your shoes in the car. You're going to block your schedule out. Now 11:30 rolls around and the only excuse you have is I don't want to do it. Well, that's on you, baby girl. Okay. So at a certain point, you just have to go. And here's the thing, I guarantee you, after that walk, you're going to feel so much better. You're going to be happy you did it. And so there's a lot of effort we can do up front to create a brand new goal. But as soon as that goal's like it's time to do the behavior now. I meant behavior, not goal. We can put a lot of energy and effort up front in the strategy to make sure that that behavior is and that habit is ready to go. But as soon as it's ready to go, you have to decide now we're going to do it. Now I'm going to execute. And so this is kind of part of the journey too. You may not, once you get to that point where you're like, hey, it's 11:30 and you may be tired. Maybe your kids were up all night because they were sick, right? Maybe this is a good one. It happens all the time. 11:15, an email came through and all of a sudden it's urgent. Again, you could, I don't know, you could be in an airplane on your way on a business trip and that email came in and it wouldn't have affected you because you didn't know it came in, right? So some of this is we have to have good boundaries with ourselves when we're working to improve ourselves. And so it takes time you have to think about it. Like knee-jerk reaction is, oh, I can't go for a walk right now. I'll try to go after lunch. No, you won't. I guarantee it, right? Because this is important. Here's the thing. You have this meeting, you blocked your calendar, it's 30 minutes. Likely nothing's going to get solved in the next 15 minutes. You have made this a decision and you need to do it. And here's the thing. One, when you follow through with something that you say that you're going to do, that actually builds trust in yourself. Think about it this way. If you have a friend who says, I'm going to meet you outside your house at 8 a.m. in the morning and we're going to go for a walk, you're like, sweet, walking buddy. You get up, you get ready, get your hair done, put your hair in a ponytail, put a hat on, slide on your shoes. You're super quiet. You don't want to wake up the kids, right? You put your shoes on, you get outside, you walk up the hill, and you're like, well, shit, where is she? Oh, you see a text. Sorry, I slept in. I couldn't make it. Okay, well, you're already out. You're going to do it. You're gone. Second time, she goes, okay, this time I mean it. 8 a.m. I'll meet you right at the hill. We're going to take a walk. You're like, okay, whatever. Same routine. You get to the hill. She's not there. The hell? Third time, she says, okay, this time. You're like, it ain't happening. That is the same reaction that you have internally when you say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and you bail on yourself. Subconsciously, you think, oh, it's never going to happen. And guess what? If your subconscious thinks it, you will manifest that. Right. So sometimes we just have to go and force ourselves, say, you know what? I said I'm going to do this today. I'm going to do it. And the more you do it, the more you build that trust in yourself. And here's the thing. Let's be real. 30 minutes of an outdoor walk, breathing, enjoying the fresh air, taking time for yourself. I guarantee you, A, you're going to feel better. B, you're going to be a better employee, mother, or insert whatever you want to say here. And three, you're going to probably have more brain power just because movement is so good for cognition to be able to tackle that urgent item that came in at 11:15. Makes sense, right? So let's run through this really quick before we complete. And this was a different video, right? Usually a lot of my videos are about education on the body and educating you about understanding how to go about supporting the body at a root cause level. And that's great. And you're going to keep seeing content from me around that. But sometimes I do think it's important to get down to the nitty gritty of like, okay, I love this information. I love understanding about my body. I love knowing what lab markers to get. I do that. But now I want to put it into practice. I want to eat better. I want to drink more water. I want to move my body because at the end of the day, these foundations are going to be the same no matter if it's prediabetes, weight loss resistance, thyroid problems, estrogen issues, PMS, right? We still got to support those habits that are going to get us there. And this video is supposed to help you do that. So let's run through these again. Number one, what is your goal? What is your big goal? Dream big here. What is it when it comes to health? What do you want to achieve with yourself? Number two, you're going to identify the habits and behaviors. We identified one, movement, but you would write down maybe 4 to 6 habits. Don't get crazy because you don't, again, the more you put down, the more like, how am I going to, do this? I say stick to 1 to 2 new habits. This is how I coach my clients too. I never give more than 3 new action steps per conversation because the brain just it feels like, yeah, I can do it. But once you get into it, you're like, well, I can't do it. Right. So what habits, behaviors that you need, that you want to, remember, you want to engage in. If walking feels good, do it. If you hate walking and you're bored of it and you'd rather do Pilates or do weightlifting or go for a run. Whatever feels good, right? Make sure you want to engage in it. What's your goal? What habits? List them out. Like I said, maybe 1 to 2, 3 max. And then once you figured out, I want to walk, I want to do it for 30 minutes, I want to do it 3 days a week, then you're going to talk about those roadblocks that are going to come up. You're going to talk about how you're going to think about how we're going to remove the obstacles or roadblocks that are going to get in your way. And this is where, if it's a habit you've probably tried to be consistent with in the past but haven't been able to, then you kind of know like where were the choke points? What caused the failures in the past? And you could think like, okay, well, it's because, like I said, somebody scheduled a meeting, or I forgot my shoes, or I didn't bring my water, or whatever it happened, right? If it's a brand new habit, think through what could come up. What could come up that could stop me from following through? Write those down, address them. And then when it's time to do the thing, you're going to do the thing. And you're going to do the thing at least 3 times before you decide it's not for you. Because once we realize, like, for instance, if you've never walked before, again, I know you've walked before, but I'm using this as an example. If you've never done a 30-minute walk before outside, you might not know how good you're going to feel after, right? Once you do it, once you know you really enjoy it, like once you know that you feel like trash when you don't drink at least 2 of these a day, sometimes we have to resource from how we're going to feel, right? Like for me, I wake up and I work out in the mornings. I'm a 6 a.m. exerciser. There are some mornings where I'm like, this blows. I do not want to go right now. I have to resource 30 minutes from now how good I'm going to feel, how accomplished I'm going to feel, how proud I'm going to feel, how like check I'm done. And also it's a deposit in the longevity bank account that I'm working towards, right? So we have to be grown-ups and think about the future and how this is going to impact us if we don't do it, or how it's going to impact us if we do it. I hope this was helpful. This just gives you a little bit of taste of the type of work that I do one-on-one with my clients. Yes, we talk a lot about the body. Yes, we talk a lot about why symptoms are happening. Yes, we run lab tests and I help you understand what those lab tests are saying and connect the dots to your body. But more often than not, we talk about strategy of how to eat better, how to drink more water, how to move your body, how to go to sleep and stay asleep longer and have more restful sleep. I help my clients figure out the habits that they need and the roadblocks that are going to come up in order for them to be successful, and make sure that they enjoy it so that they can stick with it, so that this becomes a lifestyle, a journey, a journey of longevity and vitality and enjoyment in the body, while also looking really freaking good and feeling amazing. So if this resonated with you and you want more support, you can find in the show notes below how to work with me. Leave comments below if you have questions, and I really hope that this was helpful for you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.